If I were to tell you that there's a game out there with a story about a ship full of funny-looking passengers who shipwreck on an island run by evil cats who entertain themselves by watching you go through death traps and puzzles, would you believe me? And would you believe me if I went the extra mile and pointed out that it's actually one of the most brilliant and greatest games of all time? That part's up to you. BattleBlock Theater is a 2013 game by the Behemoth. This side-scrolling parkour game takes you on, by shipwreck, to an island run by evil cats who seek entertainment by blood. The game is brilliant. It sounds like it's a super simple kids game, but it's actually got a darker story when you dive down into some of the more once you get down the deeper story. It's actually a bit of a darker game. It's a Behemoth game, so it's not super dark or horrible or something like that, but it's a kids game. Kids can play it absolutely, but it's also a really good game that adults can play. So it's for all ages. Its story is brilliant. It's gripping. It reels you in as you don't know what's gonna happen next. Mystery and puzzles and stuff like that. You want to know what's gonna happen because you get attached to these characters through an amazing work of dialogue by the narrator. So it has won many awards, has a very gripping and amazing story, and by me, one of the greatest games of all time, and by far one of the greatest games, if not the best game Behemoth Studios has ever made. But why? What makes this game great? Why has it won so many awards? In this video, I hope to answer just that. For this section, I'll be going over a really simple overview of the game, just so you know how it works before we dive into some of the more basic details and stuff like that, just so you know how everything works and you understand what's going on. Basically, if you want to play a game, it's a side-scrolling parkour game. So if you want to play a game, you start out, you choose your, once you load the game, you choose your, you start in a room, right? And then you go to different sections. These are different, sections of this island. Some are prison cells. I think the first two are, prison quarters. And then you go on to other things like the vault. The vault, which is the last one. And other things there's a burning place right before the vault. It's brilliant. Not only are they different parts of the island, but as you progress and unlock different sections, they show more of the story. At first, you're in a prison's quarter. You're trying to save your buddies in there by buying them out in this shop, which is also a way to get cosmetics for yourself, using gems that you unlock in different levels. So as they progress, you're in prison cells, you start out in prison cells, but as you progress in the story and in the sections reflect on it. As the story goes on, the cats in the game, they become more hungry, basically. They're not entertained enough by you going through these traps, so they want more traps. They want harder traps, and the traps, they do get harder and longer. And by the end, they're ridiculously hard, and you get a timer, and you gotta do all this different stuff. It's a mess. But as they get progressively angry in the story, they start to riot and stuff like that. And in the sections, you can see the level right before the vault, which is the final level. Everything's on fire. It looks like a riot came through, stuff like that, right? So it's a really nice detail. So in each section, there are different levels. I believe there are 8. There are 8 or 10 levels in one, maybe a 9th one, if I'm remembering correctly. There's about 10 levels in each section. There's a shop as well, so you can go in that shop, use diamonds that you get from these levels to buy out different friends that were part of the ship that you were on. And in each level, there are 2 or 3, I believe it's 2 stages. Basically, you go through one stage, which is basically one level, and then you go through another one, and then you've completed that level. You get rated by your time, your speed, stuff like that, and you get diamonds according to that, and you get rated, and you can't move on if they're all C's. You can move on if they're level plus, A++, all that stuff. It's goofy. So in between these different sections, once you unlock one, you get a cutscene. These cutscenes are a relief in a way, as Like, you were just playing all these levels, and now you get to sit back for 2 minutes or so, and you get to watch this cutscene. Amazing voice by the narrator. And basically, it shows you what's going on in the story. Once you unlock this level, it's now this is going on, and this is going on, and stuff like that. So, when it comes to basic overview, you now should understand how the game works. There are sections, in those sections are levels, in those levels are stages, alright? Very simple, that's just basically how the whole game works. That's how the mechanics work, stuff like that, right? You also have different abilities that you can unlock. It's a simple game, so there you go. Moving on. The story is a ship full of friends, like the best friends on the face of the planet, the happiest people there, led by Hattie Haddington, who is the greatest and most cheerful friend of all, is looking for adventure. They don't know what they're going to find. The narrator, in the game, they say they could be looking for pirates, ghost ships, lands of candy, all this stuff. They could be looking for anything. They just want adventure. But out of the blue, literally, a storm comes out, and it wreaks havoc. It's throwing passengers out. It's violent. It's scary. Everybody's like, what's going on? We don't know where we're gonna go. What's gonna happen? And it brings them by shipwreck to an island. And this island, it's run by cats. It's mysterious. You're immediately ushered to a prison cell. These cats, they're big, they're large, they're aggressive, stuff like that, right? So you don't know what's going on. And Hattie Haddington, he's acting weird. It's weird. You don't know what's going on. He's got a hat on now instead. And he's acting strange. He's not himself. He's just lying around. He's crying all the time. The tears on his face, at least. You don't know what's going on. It's up to you to figure out what's going on, to put an end to it, to save your friends, get them back on that island, or that boat, and get off that island. The cats, it's very interesting. They watch you for entertainment. They enjoy watching you go through all this stuff. You'll see why in a second. Sorry about that. You'll see why in a second. So, when we take a step back, that's basically where you are in the story. When you land on the island, you're ushered to prison cells, stuff like that. By the end of it, you get off, stuff like that, right? So, the backstory of it is Perham Furbottom, no joke, or Lord Furbottom, who loves cats, made a crazy stage, right? He was rich, a billionaire, I think is what they said in the thing. He was rich, he made a stage on this island, and it was a show, a theater, it was beautiful. All these guys, it was exotic, all these people would come here, and they would watch the show, and it was like everybody was there. If you didn't see it, you must have been up in space, or something like that. Everybody watched it. Awesome. Lord Furbottom passed away by pooping himself to death. So he left his show behind. It became abandoned. His cats that he loved so much, there were so many of them, they stayed on the island, and everything just kind of went dark. Nobody knows what happened. And the story picks up years after he died. Like, many years after he died. Boom. You're back. You land on the island. The cats, they're evolved. And now the story will make sense. Once that's explained, it'll start to make sense. So the cats, they want all this stuff to happen because, you know, when they were kids or whatever, I don't know, they would watch the theater, right? They would watch it with Lord Furbottom, stuff like that. So it starts to make sense, and it starts to make sense, the backstory at least, on what's going on. Because, like, when you land, you're like, what the heck? You're all these big cats going on. Like, what's going on? And then it starts to make sense once you learn, oh, well, they ran a show, or they were part of a show. Now they want it to happen again, stuff like that. That's why you're going through all these puzzles to save your friends, to entertain them, to get the diamonds from them, and then to buy them out. So, what's next? Alright, so Lord Furbottom, he had an evil hat. He had a hat. I don't know. It's not really explained, but he had an evil hat. It doesn't make sense. It was explained. It doesn't really make sense. He had an evil hat, and this hat is controlling Hattie Haddington. It was the hat that Lord Furbottom, the leader of this place, wore, and now it is the hat that they've put on Hattie Haddington, as he's the new leader of this place, basically. He's supposed to be, at least. And he's nominated the leader, and the cats get bored at like a point. That's where the riots start to take place, and they want more blood, basically like that. And once you get to the vault, the story, it's the last level is ridiculously hard. It's ridiculously hard. But once you get them down, once you get it down, like when to jump and when to do all that stuff, it's somewhat easier. So, finally, in the story at least, you get all your friends off the island once you've completed that final level, including Hattie Haddington. You get them off the island. You get them onto the ship. The cats are chasing you, trying to get you back, and then you get off on the ship, off the island, gone. You're back at sea, and you're waking up Hattie Haddington, and he's not himself. He's just like emotionless, like just frozen in time or something like that. He's not himself at all. I mean, even a hug didn't wake him up. The best of friends wasn't woken up by a hug. So you're like, oh no, what's gonna happen with Hattie Haddington? The credits roll with a sad song playing, talking about how, like, you were the best of friends, thank you so much, stuff like that. And oh my, you throw him off. You just throw him off. God almighty. Now, this is a cutscene, so you don't have any control over this, but basically your character, you throw him off, it's okay, whatever happened to him, whatever, it's okay. Throw him off, Hattie Haddington's in the ocean, sinking down, you're having fun, you've got all your friends back, you're getting off that cursed island, you're going back home, right, or whatever, continuing your journey. Hattie Haddington sinks to the bottom with an amazing song going on, which I will talk about later. And he sinks to the bottom of the place, and the hat falls on him, and it's a very weird ending. Like, you almost have to look it up to understand what's going on. But basically, he sinks to the bottom, the hat lands on him, the hat is good now, he turns the hat good now, and he's powered up, and he uses, I'm guessing, the last bit of himself that he's got, and he shoots a laser up into space that kills a bear. A massive bear that was going to come and attack Earth. Makes no sense, I know, but it's a freaking amazing game. So, when it comes to story, it's very interesting. It's definitely a Behemoth game, so there's that. And now we'll be moving on to the characters. The characters in this game, they lack in quantity, but they skyrocket in quality. There are no voices in this game. There is only one, the narrator, who plays you and several different characters in different circumstances. Like, it is interesting. He plays you, he plays Hattie Haddington, he plays everybody in a way, right?
Never turn your back on it, because the ocean was all like, psych, and it came back even bigger this time.
But he also remains out of this story. It's very interesting. So, when it comes to characters, you can buy different characters in the shop. Cosmetics, when you buy someone out of prison by using gems, it kind of unlocks like a cosmetic for you, because now you can look like a triangle head or a circle head, or now you can look like a guy with a welding mask on or whatever, like all that stuff. Really cool. So when it comes to character customization, you got a lot of customization there. You can change the color. You want to be green? You want to be green? You want to be blue? You can be blue. You can be blue. All of it. So, when it comes to character customization, there's a lot there. When it comes to characters in the actual story, there's Hattie Haddington, and there's you, and everybody else is kind of an NPC, and really. So, it's a very interesting story. It's a gripping story as well. The characters, they lack in quantity, but they skyrocket in quality. Oh my lord. So, for the setting of this cursed island, those sections, if you remember the sections, they kind of really set the mood for the place. Although they don't really affect the levels in a way, as all the levels will be kind of goofy, different colors, crazy, stuff like that. It does show you what's going on in the story. As I mentioned earlier, as you progress through the game in the story, you also progress in the sections. The sections kind of reflect on the story, and the story reflects on the sections. It's genius. So when it comes to setting the island, it's creepy, it's dirty, it's broken down, it's run by these evil freaking cat things, and it really it's shown in the game. It really is. And now on to the music. The music in this game, oh my lord, this stuff is all over the place. All over the place. It's so good though. So good. Like, buckle your pants, buckle your pants, buckle your pants, buckle your pants, yeah. It's stuck in my head. The music in this game is spec-freaking-tacular. Amazing music. I recommend go checking it out. It's what's been playing this whole time in the video. Amazing music. It reflects on the game. It shows you what's going on in the game. It helps you with like all kinds of stuff. Really an amazing story. Really an amazing setting, characters, music, all of it. And with that, I have named only a couple of the things that make this game great. So what do you think? Would you play BattleBlock Theater? I hope you have a great day, and remember, life is short. Play great games.